Hey guys, Furum here, and today I'm going to be showing you me winning the Mercedes-Benz SLR McLaren 722 edition in its Enduro Double Down, and showing you how it does in multiplayer. So here are all the cars in the Enduro Double Down, and I didn't actually upgrade any of them other than the boss car from what I had them at originally. So my tuning is 0505 3030. I would have Pro tires, but I ran out of V8 engines. So, the AI where I finally got enough points to win the car was on Azure Coast. In my opinion, this Enduro Double Down was harder than the Falcon and 918 ones. Now, don't get me wrong, the races, aside from the Ace races, are really easy because they're all, original cars in the game, and there are not very many ones that people wouldn't have highly upgraded already. But I found that the Ace races, if you don't make it all the way through in one go, which I didn't, because for some reason, this is interesting, this race here is supposed to be the final race if you're going through in one go, but it was my 31st one or something like that. I don't know why, that was really weird, but I failed it because I was not upgraded enough, and then I had to start back at the beginning. And then once you get to, I want to say around 7,000 points, they add 2 more onto the end and take out 2 from the beginning. And then they do that again around, 30,000 or so. So you're stuck with 4 really hard Ace races after this one in the Enduro Double Down. And so that was why I found this Enduro Double Down to be harder than the other ones to get enough points to get the car. Another annoying thing about a lot of the Ace races is you need to run extra tanks on them if you're not maxed and have a bunch of stuff on Pro Kits. This one, for example, if I wasn't running an extra tank on, it would be very difficult for me, and I don't know, I don't think it'd be impossible, but it would be a lot closer than it is. So, yeah, my feelings on this Enduro Double Down, slightly harder than the other ones, but I have now managed to do it, and that was very hard, but I'm glad I did. Because although this car isn't all that great, I wanted to continue making videos of multiplayer tuning various cars, and I figured this would be a good one since it's a mid to high S-Class car, and I figured it'd be good. So now I can claim my final points to get the final blueprints for this car. So we go into the inventory and open these, and it will be 45 out of 45. And I like rare blueprints and cards the best, for a reason you may be able to tell. So let's go to the car and finally assemble it. Now, after I assembled it, something really weird happened when it finished. The Hommages showed up, and I think this may have been because I was just playing in it, but that's really weird how it put it in this thing. So now for the first multiplayer race in this car. Its acceleration is decent. It's slower than the Vulcan, as you can see here, but it's still quite good in comparison to some of the other cars around this level. Like, I believe it's faster than the Hommages, and certainly the Camaro. A lot of people say this car is ugly, but I personally find it to look quite nice. So, this car can go 287 miles per hour with tuning kit at this rank, which is comparable to a Max Pro B-Class car such as a Falcon or an MP48. And speaking of MP48s, I saw one in every single race I played with this car. It seems to be really popular at this level in multiplayer. I guess people just really like the acceleration boost at Max Pro. But as you can see here, even this car can get ahead of them already, and on the first lap I have managed to pass the MP48, and I believe the Vulcan wrecked in the tunnel back there. It can be very hazardous if you don't know how to get through it properly. So the MP48 is best kept at a level below 1500, where mostly what it has to worry about are Cigarses and Camaros, which it can beat on one-lap short tracks. But here, it can't beat Vulcans or Hommages or MP425s or even this car on pretty much any track. So that's why I'd say if you max pro'd your MP48, only use it in events and not for multiplayer. I'd recommend using the Camaro or the Cigaris instead. So here I beat 2 max pro'd MP48s along with the triple boosted Vulcan who disconnected. Now for our second multiplayer race, which is on the Alps. So as I've already said, this car has decent acceleration. The rest of its traits, such as speed and handling and drifting, are decent as well, but none of them really stands out. All of its traits are just kind of okay, and there's not really any super bad ones or super good ones. So it's a very well-rounded car, kind of like the Cigaris, I guess. Unfortunately, it's slower than the Vulcans and Hommages and MP425s at this rank. As you can see, this Vulcan is passing me right here, even though I was able to put up a good fight, and apparently he got tired of me because he tried to slam me against the wall. But I found out that this car's armor is pretty good. You have to work kind of hard to get it to wreck. I'm not talking about like ramming into a wall really hard, I mean that's going to make you wreck, but it doesn't tend to get knocked down at the beginning of a race as easily as some other cars might. So on a one-lap track, the SLR doesn't have much of a chance against even MP48s because the MP48s have nearly the same speed, maybe slightly lower, and much better acceleration, but you can usually catch up to them on long tracks. Like, for example, here on Nevada Reverse. So if you watch along the left here, something kind of funny happens. This MP48 gets sandwiched in between another MP48 and the Vulcan, and yeah, it's not a good idea to get sandwiched in between two cars like this. If you're in an MP48, try to swerve out of the way at the beginning if you can, and don't try to knock anyone down, because it will just slow you down, and most likely you won't be able to get them. Nevada is one of my favorite tracks in Asphalt 8, mainly because of its nice balance in between straight sections and curvy sections and twisty sections and jumpy sections and flat sections. It just has a great variety, so many cars can excel on this track, unlike other tracks where only certain cars can excel on. And I think this might be a reason Nevada is so popular in multiplayer. It's one of the tracks that will almost be guaranteed to get picked if it comes up in the voting, unless maybe if Barcelona comes up, because that's another very popular one. So up here you'll see that the SLR has quite decent of a drifting radius if you can learn to drift punch well. The reason I can make it around these Nevada turns like this is because one of the ace races was on Nevada Reverse for this car, and I got really used to it because I probably played that race 5 times. Because at the end, the ace races got so hard that I could only get 6,000 points per go, so that took a while. On this track, I found it's quite important to be able to take the inside route very reliably, because a lot of people don't know how to do it and they take the outside route, which, while not being too much longer, is still longer, and I've won some races because I've gone on the inside and the other person's gone on the outside, and I've lost some because it went the other way, where I went on the outside and the other guy went on the inside. So now coming up to the end of the second lap, I have a bit of a little battle between me and this other MP48, because I have slightly better speed, but he has better acceleration and handling, and I'm kind of surprised I did not get knocked down right then. Also, I ran an extra tank in all of the races with this car just because I wanted to be at my very best against the other cars at this rank, like the Vulcan and MP48 and MP425 and stuff like that. And as you can see here, it has helped. Now, because of this car's mediocre acceleration, this MP48 is able to get ahead at the last corners, and I'm not sure what happens here, but he slows down a lot, and I almost managed to pass him before the finish line. I think he knew that if he ragged to get nitro, I'd probably be able to catch up and knock him down, so kudos to you. And again, a Vulcan has disconnected. That seems to be a continuing trend in this video. So now for the final race, in which I face Fabio C again in his McLaren MP48 on Avalanche Alley, which again is a track with a lot of variety in it. So of course he shoots way ahead at the beginning, but we shall see if I'm able to catch up again. So again, this car can take S-curves pretty well if you can drift punch. Drift punching works quite well in this car because it is good enough to get you around all of those S-curves, but not so much that you risk running into the inside of them. And I'm surprised I didn't get knocked down again. You see, this car has quite good armor. So, my overall thoughts on this car are that, again, it's decent. There are a lot of cars in multiplayer that are decent and competitive, but not kings. I suppose this is one of them, because it can do quite well against MP48s, but it's inferior to Vulcans and Hommages and MP425s, which are the 3 kings around this rank, I would say. So don't worry if you did not manage to get this car, because there are better ones you can get. And don't worry if you did get it too and worried about wasting your money. It's not a waste, because even though it takes forced induction V8s to Max Pro, it has decent rewards in Mastery, and you can get it up to Mastery 12 and get a good amount of licenses out of it without using a bunch of forced induction V8s on it, which unfortunately I did. But hey, it was worth it, so I could make a multiplayer video of it for you guys. So we have beat that Fabio C guy, along with a nearly max-proed Falcon and a max-proed Falcon F7. Now, James P is someone in my purple team, and I got some selfies with him when I was not doing so great in a race with this car. So you can see our little selfie session right here. Thank you all for watching. Please give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed and found it to be useful, and please consider subscribing to see my Asphalt 8 videos right as they come out. So, I will see you all later. Goodbye.